In a world bathed in perpetual black and white, the indigenous population would definitely develop a film noir type of civilization, right? It's time to talk about, analyze, review, break down, theorize, and rant about Star Trek Strange New Worlds 4th season episode, A Case of Chiaroscuro.
Spoiler alert! Hit it!
Okay, let's do this. We start with the Enterprise being tasked with retrieving a probe that got a little too close to Klingon territory, and to be more covert about it, a shuttle has to be dispatched with Uno, Mbega, and Hura to get it.
Is there something wrong with our view screen? Why is everything in black and white?
It's this week's gimmick, GG.
It's due to the infrared black body spectrum for the Mataran star.
Which are fancy words, but it's not what infrared black body spectrum actually does. It shows how much heat objects give off at different invisible light wavelengths. A thermal camera translates these heat levels into false color images, like red for hot, or blue for cold, or into shades of grey for simple video screens, unless, of course, Starfleet officers' eyes are video screens.
Like I said, a gimmick, and a badly explained one at that.
I don't mind it, and to be fair, they did warn us ahead of time. Chiaroscuro is a lighting technique using extreme contrast between light and dark. If I remember correctly, it originated in the 1920s during the German Expressionist movement, and later defined American film noir.
So, this could end up being some sort of Casablanca in space.
Watch and see. Although, before we do that, let's blend in a little. So, our away team are able to reroute the probe, but before they could follow it back to the Enterprise, there's a proximity alert. There's a Klingon battlecruiser just ahead of them,
which for some reason hasn't detected them. I mean, they're right there, right behind them.
Maybe they don't have a rearview mirror.
You're joking, right? Sensors are 360 degrees.
Well, if you didn't like that, you won't like them deciding to hide on the planet, bypassing an electromagnetic detection field without having been detected, and being ordered to remain invisible, yet the shuttle clearly flies way too close to a metropolis.
You're right. I don't like that.
But on the plus side, the planet's designed to look just like a futuristic version of the 1920s, complete with blimps everywhere. And if they capture the mood of that era, it'll be pretty cool.
Very much like the movie Metropolis.
Now, the planet's under Klingon occupation, and as luck would have it, the indigenous population look human. So Una, Mbenga, and Hura synthesize local clothing, hide the shuttle, and attempt to blend in until it's safe to leave.
It's not gonna be safe to leave anytime soon. Didn't you listen to yourself? The planet's under Klingon occupation. And how lucky is it that the population look human, eh? No prosthetic ears, noses, foreheads, or anything.
To be fair, Strange New Worlds takes place about a decade before the original series, and back then, every alien looked human. Aside from Spock, of course.
Anyway, they explore the city, and wouldn't you know it, someone sees Una and mistakes her for his boss, who we hadn't seen in a couple of days.
What are the odds, eh?
Far too frequent if you've watched enough movies and TV shows, McCluck.
Ain't that the truth?
Una's doppelganger appears to be the leader of some kind of Klingon police force. Her accomplices captured someone they think is from the Resistance, but she ain't talking.
And their headquarters appear to be in a bar. I guess you were right, Gigi. We had Jurassic Park, then Event Horizon, followed by The Hangover, and now it looks like they're doing Casablanca in space.
Meanwhile, Spock and La'an check the probe they just recovered and scan it, just in case Klingons manage to infect it with some virus or other. Turns out there's something odd with one of the memory chips. Spock suggests something could have happened to it during transit, but La'an is convinced we may have a spy on board, and the probe could have been tampered with while it was in the transporter buffer.
Sounds mighty convoluted, and I bet it will be used to show La'an's increased paranoia linked to her emerging Kanduyan Seng DNA.
Back on the planet, Una tries to get information from that prisoner, but isn't getting anywhere. There's something odd about that woman, though, like she mentions a test of some sort.
Could it be that Una's doppelganger is some kind of double agent?
We'll need to table that for the moment as Klingons enter the bar, including Kor.
Kor? Of all the joints in all the galaxy, he has to walk into this one. I mean, come on. I love Kor, and I enjoyed seeing him in TOS and DS9, but why reuse him here? Why does it have to be Kor and not some other Klingon commander?
Nostalgia?
If that's the only reason, it deserves a dislike.
Well, if there's a decent reason for his presence, though, you'll have to undo that dislike.
If it's warranted, Commander. I'll be more than happy to.
Kor's appearance worries Una's captive, telling her that if they use their interrogation device on her, everything is lost.
Nice callback to TOS and the Klingon Mind Sifter, which can grab any information someone wants from a prisoner's brain, but pretty much destroys their mind in the process.
Well, she's not gonna let that happen. She tells Una it's all on her now, gives her a 34.6 megahertz clue, cracks a cyanide-laced tooth or similar, and dies. Kor's not too pleased his prisoner died, but Una convinces him she did it because that prisoner was of no use, and he respects that. Nice gamble on her part.
Babyface Kor looks so young!
Yeah, I don't like it. Just remember, it could have been any other Klingon.
All this is just getting far too dangerous for our Starfleet officers, so they decided it would be far safer for them to go back to the shuttle and wait there.
They should have just done that to start with.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, McCluck. Thing is, they didn't, and now they can't get back as there's a new checkpoint blocking their way. They check passes, one person has an expired one, and the Klingons just shoot him, which leads Uhura to go to him and help him, and she's immediately caught and arrested for her troubles.
Compassion is for the weak, as any good Klingon knows.
As Una and M'Benga walk away, they come across Jalim, the bartender, who tells Una he's pleased to see her again and assures her they'll do whatever they can to rescue Uhura. Yeah, because it turns out Una's doppelganger was also the resistance leader.
She's playing both sides!
Well, whatever they do, they better do it fast, as Uhura's being interrogated by Kor as we speak. And as he's not getting any of the answers he seeks, well, unsurprising since Uhura knows nothing of the resistance, he's going to use his mind sifter on her.
Oh no!
Jalim tells Una he needs her own car to get Uhura out, but obviously Una doesn't have it on her. Jalim assumes it must be in her office, so he asks her to get it, as Una assures him Uhura is essential for them to get into that neodymium plant.
Oh, that feels quite complicated. So, they need to get into that plant, and Una's doppelganger likely died trying to do that already, and so Una tells Jalim that she needs Uhura for the plan to succeed, which is obviously a lie because she didn't know about the plant until now. But now, her rescue can only be achieved with a Klingon ID card, which they can't get, so they have to use Una's doppelganger's wand, because that one would work instead, except Una hasn't got it, so it may be in her doppelganger's office.
Seems you've pretty much got the gist of it, Doc.
Meanwhile, back on the Enterprise, La'an asks the Vulcan cadet for help. Turns out, La'an might have been right. Something's sending and receiving transmissions to and from the Enterprise. Except the signal she's noticed is something Scotty did, reconfiguring a buoy so he can counteract the effect of the star, which makes the Klingon cruiser appear and disappear on their screen.
Oh, so that means the shuttle might have been invisible to the Klingons too when it flew so close to them at the start.
Well, that could explain it, McCluck. Care to remove that dislike?
Fine.
So that signal had nothing to do with the probe then?
None, except there might be another signal under Scotty's. Well, meanwhile, Uhura's being interrogated.
That mind-reading exercise isn't really ripping the mind as Kor told Kirk it did. It's just light causing pain. Most disappointing.
To be fair, McCluck, they may well have refined and increased the device's damaging capabilities by the time Kor meets Kirk.
Yeah, that's possible, but then it makes it quite a disappointing encounter, especially if they're trying to link it to stuff we know about from other episodes.
And while that's going on, Una and M'Benga are searching her doppelganger's office.
Prime Amation knew where it was, and how to unlock it for that matter.
Details, McCluck.
Important details, Mouse.
Well, there happens to be a face scanner masquerading as a window, which recognizes Una and reveals a whole room hidden behind that fake window. Hey, maybe that's how she got into the office in the first place.
Yeah, okay. Maybe.
Turns out the doppelganger was pretty much the nexus of the whole resistance movement. And look what's there. Something that looks suspiciously like a Federation isolinear chip. It shows the resistance's plan to set off an EMP in the plant to destroy the Klingons' defenses and give the planet a fighting chance.
This is all such an orgy of evidence.
But why have it in a Federation chip? Is there a link to the Federation I've missed somehow?
Not that I'm aware, McCluck.
Is there a link to the probe?
Unknown.
Well, it could be a mistake from the prop department.
That would be embarrassing.
They also find the ID card they were after, along with the doppelganger's body, stored in some kind of container. Dead.
She tried to put herself in a cryo chamber to save herself, but it didn't work.
Well, at least Una won't run the risk of bumping into herself.
Meanwhile, Uhura's still being tortured.
Damn! I'd forgotten about her.
Shockingly harsh of you, McCluck. But it's okay. Someone gave Kor an ID card and now she's free to go.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Well, Guess they do things differently in the Klingon Empire.
What's different is Uhura caught Kor speaking to his assistant while they were torturing her, and now she has info about what they're planning to do, like upgrading the defensive grid and vaporize anyone who breaches it.
Why on earth would Kor discuss such matters while interrogating someone?
He used an obscure dialect which he was sure no one else would be able to understand.
Still, how is that even remotely a secure way to manage an occupation? Absolutely ridiculous and totally unworthy of an opponent such as Kor.
Okay, that sounds sloppy, I agree, but he could have just as easily fed Uhura false information to see if she'd pass it on to the Resistance.
Or he's just a young Kor who makes mistakes.
Well, he is babyface.
I'm sticking to my dislike until we hear otherwise.
Oh, fair enough.
Anyway, now they're back together, and Benga suggests they head to the shuttle. But they can't just yet, as Kor and a bunch of Klingons walk in singing a song, which leads the bartender and a bunch of others to thump on their tables, and the electronic piano starts playing what I can only assume is the planet's national anthem or something.
Yeah, that was a direct copy of one of Casablanca's most famous scenes, and whereas it was iconic then, it doesn't work here. Not only is that bar supposed to be the HQ of Kor's local enforcers, but Klingons would never have just growled at such an affront. They would have killed everyone on sight. I know what they were trying to do, but it failed miserably.
Well, this unrealistic act of defiance convinces Una to stay and finish what her doppelganger started, against Mbenga's objections. And on the Enterprise, Spock believes this possible encryption might just be background space noise or something, and thinks that all this might just be in La'an's increasingly paranoid head.
Oh, she's not going to take that well.
She doesn't, and she storms off. Back on the planet, Kor toasts Una and is about to reveal to her his future plans for the occupation when Una tells him what Uhura heard.
So he really didn't have an ulterior motive when he blurted out his plan in front of a prisoner. Pathetic. The dislike stands.
So Una's off to get the detonator she needs to trigger the EMP her doppelganger wanted to activate, but there's a problem. It's triggered when it passes through a checkpoint, so it's a suicide mission, and on top of that, she's thwarted by the one who killed her doppelganger.
It's the guy who recognized her at the start. Well, that doesn't make much sense. If he was the one who shot the doppelganger, he knew she was a double agent, so why not say anything when he saw her again?
Maybe she never admitted it.
So why shoot her then?
Yeah, it's not entirely clear, I'll grant you that. There's no time to discuss the matter, as Una overpowers him, but doesn't kill him.
Why do the bad guys always monologue? Just shoot your prisoner already.
She wants to give him a chance to save his planet from Klingon occupation.
But he works for the Klingons. Isn't she taking a huge risk?
I would have shot him.
On the Enterprise, La'an has reported herself to sickbay, feeling that her paranoia got the better of her. Only for Chapel to admit to her that she's the one who tampered with the data.
What? Why?
Yeah, why admit it rather than let La'an think she's going nuts?
Well, first of all, because she's not cruel, McCluck. And secondly, it turns out a Starfleet medical ship covertly went on an unsanctioned mission in Klingon space to render aid. And that ship's captain asked Chapel for help to delete any data on that trip that the probe might have recorded.
So, all that turned into a typical B-story plot that had nothing to do with the main storyline.
Just like the good old days, Doc.
And on the planet, that guy who killed the doppelganger, he's on his way to the Klingon HQ with valuable intel.
Told you he couldn't be trusted.
Can't believe Una could have been so naive.
Except there's a twist. You see, she suspected he'd do that and slipped the detonator in his pocket.
A detonator designed to activate the moment it passes through a checkpoint.
Clever girl.
So the EMP was triggered. Una tells Jalim that he's got to be the new resistance leader now. Tons of people leave the planet, and our crew fly their shuttle out of Matar space, and Una wonders if she's really done the right thing. The end.
Welcome back, caller. I missed you.
Okay, I know you had issues with it, McCluck, but this was a good story.
My biggest gripe remains. Kor should not have been a part of it. Call him Rock or Ochre or what have you. Adding yet another nostalgia character was a pointless exercise.
But remove that from the equation and you had a good story of an away team stuck on a strange new world, inadvertently discovering a resistance to the Klingon invasion and somehow got roped into helping the local population.
In blatant disregard of the Prime Directive.
Well, I guess if you're on an occupied planet, the Prime Directive doesn't apply. And if your life is in danger, the classic trope of a doppelganger worked well for me. The surprise reveals were satisfying, and on the whole, It was pretty successful, I feel.
Well, what about Uhura being tortured?
Oh, that was probably the weakest part of the story, I'll grant you. And you're right, McCluck. Core discussing secret information isn't something he'd ever have done.
Especially since he was ready to tell Una his plan anyway a few minutes later. It was just there to give something for Uhura to do, and should really have been dropped from the story altogether.
Well, I did say, on the whole, nothing's ever perfect, but I felt this was a good story.
All right, have it your way.
And then there's the cinematography. Okay, I know it was a gimmick, and you were right to dislike it for that, but come on. The shots on the planet were beautiful, and the cameraman and lighting crew did an excellent job recreating the feel of the black and white film noir era to great effect. It was a pleasure to watch.
Although it worked well in the planet's setting, it wasn't as effective on the ship, especially Sick Bay. That Enterprise's set is just too sparse to do justice to that filming technique.
Oh, I fully agree with you, Doc, but thankfully, we spent most of our time on the planet.
Well, what about the fact that black and white planet just happened to evolve into a 1920s civilization?
Horskin's law of parallel worlds, McCluck. It's baked into the Star Trek mythos. That's how Kirk explored a planet that looked like 60s America, or one where the Russians and Americans annihilated each other in a nuclear war, or one where Rome never fell.
And now, one that lives in the permanent Casablanca setting.
That worked fine for me, and let me tell you this for nothing, it was a damn sight better than last week.
That's like the lowest of bars, Commander.
Still, it was worth saying, and in many ways, this episode felt more like a traditional Star Trek story than any of the others we've had this season.
Which has got to be a good thing. The B story was kind of pointless, though.
Yeah, it wasn't satisfying, and I think it was just there to make us not forget that there's something wrong with La'an, even though in this case, there was nothing wrong with her and she was totally right. Thankfully, it didn't waste too much of the runtime.
It also didn't make sense. How could Chapel be able to alter the very content of a chip while it's being transported? Okay, she knew what she was looking for, but she didn't know where it was, and you only have a handful of seconds to analyze the content of a buffer to make any changes. Any longer, and anyone would have noticed something weird going on in the buffer.
And when I think about it, that guy shooting the doppelganger and then doing nothing when he saw Una didn't sit right with me. At the very least, he should have informed his associates, or capture Una, or tell Core, or do something. But why wait for her to go back to the same place where he caught her before? Why not just shoot her right away? The more I think about it, the more it irritates me.
Yeah, come to think of it, I may have been taken over by the story's style and forgot about its substance.
Yeah, you may have forgotten, Commander, but the Doc and I didn't. So, that's pretty much all we have to say about this episode. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve.
As Una and Mbeka walk away,
Why on earth would Core discuss such matters while interrogating?
Jalib assumes it must be in his.
Just like that.